What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction. I hope that drama in the comic industry is enough of a clickbait title to get you guys to watch this because I think this is some interesting material. And it doesn't have to do with gotching anybody in the current business or Comicsgate or Gail Simone or all the other stuff that people whine about on Twitter all day long. I like to talk about different things, things that are interesting, as I said. And so, drama in the comic industry is nothing new. You get a bunch of artists and professionals together who are creatives, and there's going to be people butting heads. There's going to be issues. There's going to be drama. There's going to be people hating each other. It's gonna be crazy all the time. And as you can see, I'm going to talk about the 1983 JLA Avengers debacle a little bit here, but I'm going to even go back further than that. I mean, if you look back to the late 60s, it started with Stan Lee versus Jack Kirby and Stan Lee versus Steve Ditko. You know, they built this Marvel empire. It was going, and Stan Lee, or rather Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby, both at different times, felt like they were on creative leashes, and they felt like they weren't getting the credit that they were due for their creations. They felt that Stan Lee was going out there, saying he's the creator, and that they were kind of getting left out. And since he was the marketer and face of the business and all that, they really didn't feel like they were advancing or able to kind of do what they wanted. And that created a lot of animosity. The animosity with Ditko lasted until his dying day with Stan Lee. I mean, he would write these essays about, basically how he didn't like the guy for decades and decades after the fact. And of course, Stan Lee, being a public sort of guy, put a smiling face on it and did the whole strategy of, well, I don't even know what the problem is. I like the guy and everything's fine. And the salesman types always do that, and they always come out on top because they look like they're having somebody aggressing against them rather than actually looking like they might be part of the problem. And that's what salesmen do. Salesmen really just put smiles on everything, and they end up cultivating a better audience because of that. And it's just a sad part of our world, because it doesn't mean anybody's right or wrong. And I'm not saying that anybody is right or wrong in the situation. I don't know. I mean, this is stuff that happened back in the 1960s. I was not alive, but those are elements that really just change the courses of careers. It changes the course of the comic industry. It adds some toxic elements to it, and it's been something that really has spiraled in the comic industry over the last 50 plus years. Now, more than that, if you look at the way social media has done things, comic professionals are more prone to this today, and they're more prone to even stick their noses into things they're not even involved with. There's that really don't shouldn't impact them or anybody else. I get it when it's two people working together who have a artistic clash, like Ditko and Lee did, but when it's somebody on Facebook and messing with somebody else, it's kind of tacky looking. And we see that a lot today. But I really want to talk about this one in the 80s that's really interesting to me, which was the JLA Avengers crossover debacle. What happened during this was that Marvel and DC had done a few crossovers over the years. They did what started with 1976 with a Spider-Man and Superman crossover. And in that crossover, they developed a couple other crossovers over the course of things. And JLA Avengers was going to be their big event together. George Perez was going to draw it. And as we know, George Perez was also working on DC's Crisis on Infinite Earths. Oh boy. So Perez really was like this 80s superstar artist who was going to just bring about this beautiful crossover. It was going to be, it was worked on, I believe, on the DC end first, and then Roy Thomas was actually going to come in and script over it, was the plan. But what happened was there was a series of miscommunications and missteps. I again, don't know who's right or wrong about this one, but Marvel actually took to the a magazine called Marvel Age and wrote out this whole explanation of why the book wasn't coming out, and just like it slammed the editors at DC, making them look like they weren't responsive. They just didn't want to make edits. They just wanted to rush out a product that was not quality, and really just tarnished the careers of these DC creators. Well, DC And the Marvel and Jim Shooter specifically just wanted to cast DC as the villain for like some Marvel marketing ploy. And so this was a book that never was. And what happened at the beginning was George Perez actually drew 21 pages of comic, and they're penciled pages. They were done. The concept is Kang from the Marvel universe, and this guy, like I think the Lord of Time from the DC universe or something like that, went back in time, and there was this egg of a new universe forming, and they both like wanted to like capture it for its power or unveil the mysteries of it or something like that. And it sent this whole like time spiral screwing things up, and the event a volume of this came out later, and I will talk about this because I actually got this volume. And the reason I have this is because there's a collector's edition of a later JLA Avengers crossover by Kurt Busiek and George Perez from, I think, 2003. And this information's in the compendium to that. So you get to read about this this whole deal, the team up controversy, and see exactly how the drama spiraled out of control over the course of a year to where a book got canceled and a book couldn't even be made. Very interesting stuff. I'll have a review of that probably on the channel later, maybe today or tomorrow. We'll see. But this is it. Drama has been a part of this comic book industry for a long time. You know, in the 80s, we had another drama with Jack Kirby, who really wanted to own his own original art and claimed he could sell it and own it. And the companies tried to fight him on that also. It just further sent these legends from the 60s who really developed these universes as artists into the spot where they, you know, went into more of their independent careers toward the end of their lives. Very interesting stuff, but it never turns out well for anybody. At the end of the day, everybody loses when this stuff goes on. When somebody forces a fight for the sake of fighting, you know, Marvel and DC lost out on probably a lot of revenue from the JLA Avengers. This would have been at the top of their game. It probably would have been the biggest selling crossover in history. Who knows? But we'll never know because the drama overwhelmed everything, and that's what happens. So trying to avoid that, you know, I'm not really into the slap fighting so much. I'll report on some stuff. And you notice, like when I have my takes on things, I don't just do what a lot of the other comic YouTube guys do and just like hyperventilate about some tribal team thing. But I try to look at a situation and be like, okay, this is the reality of this situation, and this is the path forward. This is how we change things, and that's the type of angle I like to take at the different controversies and things like that. It bothers some people. I see some comments that are like, "You're so wrong on this" all the time because they get really emotional from seeing you know, their favorite creator blasted or their least favorite creator doing something good, and they just can't handle that because they live in a binary world where you know, things are, this is good, this is bad, and it, you know, in reality, there's things don't always work like that so much. All right, that's my thoughts for the day. Hope it was interesting enough to keep your attention for 8 minutes. If you are sick of drama and just want comic books, just go to my Amazon page because I've got so many comic books out. We come out with monthly comic books, one of the only indies to do so. This is the Cosmic Warrior #1 right here. This is my series I'm fights between us whatsoever. We just crank these things out. We'll be having a crowdfund later in the month for Flying Sparks Volume 4, which I'm very excited about, which is kind of like my flagship title. That's going to have 15 issues out by the time this crowdfund's over. How crazy is that? I don't know how many indies are out there that have 15 plus issues to a character or storyline. That's a big accomplishment that not many people can do. So proud of that. Glad this is all happening. I hope you'll check this out. Read the books. That's what it's all about. We're here to have fun books that are high quality, that are just like those old school stories you used to get in the 80s or before really everything got tanked in the comic industry and it became kind of a jumbled mess. We have something different for you. We have a way forward. It's just on you to support the good books out there and avoid this crazy internet stuff. All right. I'll see you guys. Hit the like and subscribe button. We will be back.